The CEO went undercover, watching as his employee with Down syndrome was mocked and mistreated. His blood boiled until he couldn't take it anymore. Then he revealed his identity, and the entire store froze. Here's what happened. But before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Subscribe to the channel because tomorrow at the same time, we'll bring you another powerful undercover story that reveals the hidden realities behind the institutions we trust. You won't want to miss it. Harrison Wright stared at the employee satisfaction survey results on his desk, his brow furrowed with concern. As CEO of Quality Essentials, a retail chain with 15 locations across the state, he had always prided himself on creating an inclusive workplace. The latest numbers from the recently acquired Midtown location, however, painted a troubling picture. "This can't be right," Harrison muttered, scrolling through the alarming feedback. Customer complaints had doubled in just 3 months. Employee turnover was up nearly 40%. Most disturbing of all, the store's previously stellar, inclusive hiring metrics had plummeted. For Harrison, this wasn't just a business issue. It was deeply personal. Growing up with his sister Sophie, who had Down syndrome, he had witnessed firsthand how people with disabilities were often marginalized in the workplace. When he founded Quality Essentials a decade ago, he made inclusion a cornerstone of the company culture. His business had even won the prestigious Employer Diversity Excellence Award 3 years running. The intercom on his desk buzzed. "Mr. Wright, Diana from HR is here with those additional reports you requested." Diana entered, clutching a folder with additional survey data. Her expression was grim. "It's not good, Harrison. The anonymous comments section is particularly concerning." She handed him a highlighted printout. Harrison's jaw tightened as he read one comment. "Management treats our team members with disabilities like burdens rather than valued employees. It's disgusting to watch, and nobody does anything about it." "Have you spoken with Greg about this?" Harrison asked, referring to the regional manager responsible for the Midtown location. Diana nodded. "He insists it's just growing pains from the acquisition. Says the complainers are probably just disgruntled employees resistant to change." "I looked at the security footage you requested," Diana added hesitantly. "Nothing overtly discriminatory, but there are concerning interactions, body language, segregation of duties, exclusion during breaks." Harrison stood and walked to the window overlooking the city. Quality Essentials had grown from a single store to a respected retail chain under his leadership. Throughout that growth, he had remained committed to creating workplaces where everyone, regardless of ability, could thrive. The thought that one of his stores might be fostering a hostile environment made his stomach churn. "Schedule reports won't tell us what's really happening," Harrison said finally, turning back to Diana. "Neither will sanitized visits where everyone is on their best behavior." "What are you suggesting?" Diana asked. A plan was already forming in Harrison's mind. "I need to see for myself. No filters, no warnings." "You mean?" Harrison nodded. "I'm going undercover." Over the next 2 weeks, Harrison prepared meticulously. He grew out his beard into a scruffier style and dyed subtle gray streaks into his dark hair. He purchased colored contacts to change his deep brown eyes to hazel. A temporary tattoo peeked out from his collar. Nothing extreme, but enough to alter his appearance. He practiced altering his posture, replacing his confident stride with a more casual gait. For his backstory, Harrison became Henry Williams, a former retail worker who'd left the industry for better opportunities, only to fall on hard times and return to retail work. Diana had arranged everything through trusted channels. As far as the Midtown store knew, Henry Williams was simply a new hire sent over by corporate HR as part of normal staffing procedures. "Are you sure about this?" Diana asked during their final meeting. "This is unorthodox, to say the least." Harrison looked down at his new uniform, a polo shirt with the Quality Essentials logo and standard khaki pants. "I've built this company on the belief that everyone deserves dignity in the workplace. If that's not happening, I need to know. Not through reports, not through secondhand accounts. I need to see it with my own eyes." Monday morning arrived with a nervous edge. Harrison, now fully embodied as Henry Williams, pulled into the employee parking area of the Midtown store. Inside, a cluster of workers gathered near the break room, sipping coffee and chatting. Their conversations quieted as Harrison entered, the natural response to a new face. A tall man with a clipboard approached, offering a perfunctory smile. "You must be Henry," he said, extending his hand. "Bradley Mercer, store manager. HR told me you'd be starting today." Harrison shook his hand, careful to maintain his altered demeanor. "Thanks for having me. Excited to get started." Bradley's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Nathan will handle your orientation. He's our team lead for general merchandise." He gestured toward a stocky man organizing inventory sheets. "I've got a conference call with regional in 10 minutes, so I'll leave you in his capable hands." Harrison noted how quickly Bradley removed himself from the onboarding process. Unusual for a store of this size where managers typically took a more hands-on approach with new hires. Nathan's orientation was cursory at best. A rushed tour of the store, a brief explanation of clock-in procedures, and minimal safety protocols. Within 30 minutes, Harrison found himself assigned to stock shelves in the household goods section with barely adequate training. "Just follow the planogram," Nathan said, handing him a crumpled diagram. "Ask if you get stuck, but try not to bother me with small stuff. I've got actual problems to solve today." As Harrison settled into his task, he began observing the store's dynamics. Employees clustered in obvious social groupings. Those closest to Nathan and Bradley moved with confidence, while others kept their heads down, focused solely on their assigned tasks. Around mid-morning, Harrison noticed him, a young man with Down syndrome methodically organizing a display of kitchen gadgets. Despite the mundane task, he worked with evident care and attention to detail. "That's Max," a nearby employee volunteered, noticing Harrison's glance. "He's been here forever." During the morning team huddle, Harrison watched as Max stood slightly apart from the group. When Max offered a suggestion about customer service, several employees exchanged glances, one visibly rolling his eyes. Bradley acknowledged Max's comment with a patronizing, "Thanks for sharing, buddy," before quickly moving on. After the huddle, Harrison deliberately positioned himself to work near Max. "Those display units look great," he commented as he stalked nearby shelves. Max looked up, surprise flickering across his face at the direct engagement. "Thanks. I like making things look nice for customers." Their conversation was cut short when Nathan appeared, redirecting Harrison to another section. "Don't get too distracted," he said once they were out of earshot. "We've got quotas to hit." Later, Harrison overheard Nathan speaking to another team member near the stockroom. "These quota hires kill our efficiency numbers," he muttered. "But corporate insists, so what can you do?" For his second day, Harrison arrived early, encountering Max in the break room before the morning huddle. "Morning," Harrison greeted him, gesturing to the empty chair opposite. "Mind if I join you?" Max looked up from his coffee, that same hint of surprise crossing his features. "Sure, I'm Max." "Henry," Harrison replied, sitting down. "Yesterday was my first day, still figuring everything out." Max's face brightened. "I can help. I've been here 3 years. I know where everything goes." Their conversation flowed easily. Max spoke with enthusiasm about his job, particularly his interactions with customers. He described with pride how he'd helped an elderly woman find the perfect coffee maker last week and how he remembered regular customers' names. "I used to work register," Max mentioned, a shadow crossing his face. "I like that best, getting to say hello to everyone." "Why'd they move you?" Harrison asked carefully. Max shrugged, his eyes dropping to his coffee. "New manager said I was better with stock. That was, I think, 8 months ago?" Harrison recognized the timeline, shortly after the acquisition. Before he could probe further, Nathan entered the break room, his gaze narrowing at their interaction. Throughout the morning, Harrison purposefully sought opportunities to work alongside Max. He struggled deliberately with the display arrangement, allowing Max to demonstrate the correct method. "You're really good at this," Harrison commented genuinely, watching Max transform the chaotic shelf into an organized presentation. Max beamed. "It's like a puzzle. Everything has its right place." "Williams," Nathan's voice cut through their conversation. "Household goods needs restocking. Now!" Harrison nodded but didn't immediately move. "Max was just showing me the correct display technique. I was doing it all wrong." Nathan's smile was tight. Max has his own assignments. You have yours. After Nathan left, Max whispered, "It's okay. I don't want you to get in trouble." During lunch, Harrison deliberately sat at Max's otherwise empty table, drawing curious looks from other employees. Nathan slid into the seat beside Harrison. "Hey, new guy, making friends?" The question sounded casual, but Harrison detected the undercurrent. "Just getting to know my coworkers." Nathan nodded toward a group of employees at another table. "Those are the people you'll want to know. They handle the important stuff around here." He lowered his voice, though not enough that Max couldn't hear. "Be careful about choosing sides too quickly. Some staff require special handling." Harrison's jaw tightened. "I don't see sides, just coworkers." Nathan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You're new. You'll figure it out." By his third day, Harrison had established a routine that allowed him to observe the store's operations while building trust with Max. The patterns he'd noticed earlier were becoming increasingly apparent and increasingly disturbing. The morning began with a small incident that might have seemed trivial to an outside observer. Max had spent nearly an hour meticulously arranging a seasonal display of kitchen gadgets, carefully following the planogram while adding his own thoughtful touches. Nathan walked by, coffee in hand, and stopped to inspect Max's work. "Not bad," he said, a note of surprise in his voice. Then, as he turned to leave, his elbow accidentally caught the edge of the display, sending several items clattering to the floor. "Oops," Nathan said, with exaggerated concern, making no move to help. "Guess you'll need to fix that." From across the aisle, two other employees snickered. Harrison, restocking nearby, watched as Max's face fell momentarily before he knelt to gather the scattered merchandise, his movements slower, less enthusiastic than before. Harrison abandoned his task to help. "I've got this side," he said quietly, gathering items and handing them to Max. "Thanks," Max murmured. "Accidents happen." But Harrison had seen Nathan's subtle smirk, the calculated angle of his elbow. This was no accident. During their break, Harrison noticed Max searching the staff refrigerator with increasing anxiety. "Everything okay?" he asked. "My lunch," Max replied, his voice tight. "It's not here. I put it on the top shelf this morning." Valerie, leaning against the counter, sighed dramatically. "Max, we go through this at least once a week. You probably put it somewhere else and forgot." "I didn't forget," Max insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. "It was right here." Bradley, making a rare appearance in the break room, exchanged glances with Valerie. "Check the other shelves, buddy. You know how you get confused sometimes." Harrison watched Max's shoulders slump as he continued searching, finding nothing. Without comment, Harrison split his own lunch, sliding half toward Max, who accepted with quiet gratitude. As the week progressed, Harrison noticed subtle changes in Max's demeanor. The cheerful enthusiasm that had been evident, despite everything, was dimming. His movements were more hesitant, his smile less frequent, his interactions with customers briefer. On Thursday, Harrison arrived to find employees gathering for an impromptu team meeting. Max stood nearby, clearly intending to join. Bradley approached him. "Max, why don't you go straight in the clearance section while we have this meeting?" "But isn't this for everyone?" Max asked, confusion evident. "It's nothing you need to worry about," Bradley assured him. "Just planning stuff, strategy, you know." Harrison watched Max walk away, exclusion evident in every step. He lingered after the meeting, deliberately within earshot of Bradley's office, where the manager was speaking with Valerie. "Corporate's inclusion policies are killing our efficiency numbers," Bradley complained. "The regional managers get to make demands without understanding what it does to our daily operations." "Greg seems to get it," Valerie replied. "At least he doesn't push back when we adjust the schedules." Bradley snorted. "Yeah, well, as long as the store turns a profit, he doesn't care how we manage the special situations." During the late afternoon lull, Harrison searched for Max, eventually finding him in the storage room. He sat alone on an overturned crate, eating a vending machine snack, his only lunch after another missing meal. "Hey," Harrison said softly, taking a break. Max looked up, quickly wiping his eyes. Just needed a minute. Harrison sat beside him. Everything okay? Max stared at the floor. Sometimes I think they don't want me here anymore. Why do you stay? Harrison asked gently. I love helping customers, Max replied, his voice strengthening slightly. And I'm good at my job, really good. I just wish they could see that. Harrison nodded, fighting to maintain his cover, when what he really wanted was to reveal himself and put an immediate end to the situation. I see it, he offered simply. Max's small smile was the first genuine one Harrison had seen from him all day. Thanks, Henry. The 5th day of Harrison's undercover assignment dawned with an unusual buzz of activity. The store was preparing for its quarterly customer appreciation event, which meant extended hours, special promotions, and significantly higher foot traffic. Harrison arrived to find Max nearly vibrating with excitement. I love customer days, he explained, organizing promotional items at lightning speed. So many people to help. For the first time since Harrison had been there, Max seemed truly animated, his earlier dejection temporarily forgotten. He proudly showed Harrison the special display he'd been allowed to create, a colorful arrangement of kitchen gadgets with helpful usage tips that he'd written himself. The morning huddle began with Bradley outlining assignments for the busy day ahead. Harrison noticed Max standing attentively, clearly waiting for his customer-facing role to be announced. Valerie will handle the cooking demonstration, Bradley said. Nathan, you'll float between checkout and the front displays. Jessica and Tyler, you'll manage the sampling stations. He continued assigning roles, and Harrison watched Max's expression shift from anticipation to confusion as his name wasn't mentioned among the customer-facing positions. Finally, Bradley turned to Max. Max, we need someone reliable in the back today. You'll be handling inventory and restocking as items sell. Max's face fell. But I thought I could help with demonstrations. I know all the products. We need you in the back, Bradley interrupted firmly. That's where you'll be most valuable today. As the team dispersed, Harrison overheard Nathan speaking to another employee near the break room doorway. We can't have him being the face of our store, Nathan muttered. Can you imagine? Customers come for a professional experience, not a special ed class. The event began, and the store quickly filled with customers enjoying demonstrations, samples, and special discounts. From his position near the front, Harrison caught occasional glimpses of Max shuttling inventory from the stockroom to various departments, his movements mechanical, his earlier enthusiasm extinguished. At lunchtime, when Max didn't appear in the break room, Harrison searched until he found him in the small employee bathroom, frantically trying to clean what appeared to be his uniform jacket. Max, what happened? Max looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. Nothing, just a spill. But as Harrison moved closer, the sharp smell of cleaning solution filled his nostrils. Max's jacket, his name badge, and what looked like a small photo frame from his locker were all soaked in the pungent liquid. This wasn't an accident, Harrison said quietly. Max's shoulders slumped, and the careful facade he'd maintained finally cracked. It never is, he whispered, but if I say anything, it gets worse. The story spilled out in halting sentences. Since Bradley had taken over management, Max had been systematically pushed from the roles he excelled in. His personal items regularly went missing, his schedule was changed without notice, small cruelties accumulated, exclusion from team activities, tasks assigned then criticized, jokes at his expense. I reported it once, Max said, his voice barely audible. Bradley said I was being too sensitive, that I needed to understand workplace humor if I wanted to be treated like everyone else. Before Harrison could respond, the bathroom door swung open. Nathan stood there, flanked by 2 other employees. Having another meltdown, Max? Nathan asked, his tone mockingly sympathetic. What is it this time? Did someone move your stuff again? Max quickly wiped his eyes. Just cleaning up. I'll be back on the floor in a minute. Take your time, Nathan said with exaggerated patience. We're managing just fine without you. Harrison felt something snap inside him. Is this how you treat all your coworkers, or just the ones you think won't stand up for themselves? Nathan's attention shifted to Harrison, his expression hardening. Mind your own business, new guy. He's not normal. We just handle him differently. He's a person, Harrison replied, his voice dangerously quiet. A colleague who deserves the same respect as anyone else in this store. Nathan stepped closer, using his height advantage to loom over Harrison. Look, I don't know what your problem is, but this isn't your concern. Max knows how things work here. Bullied, Nathan scoffed. We're accommodating his special needs. If he can't handle normal workplace interactions, that's not our problem. Max stood frozen, glancing between them with growing anxiety. Please, he said quietly. It's okay, Henry. I'm used to it. Those 4 words, I'm used to it, nearly caused Harrison to break his cover then and there. After the confrontation in the bathroom, Harrison realized that simply observing wasn't enough. The next day, he arrived with purpose. He'd installed a voice recording app on his phone and began strategically documenting key interactions. Throughout the day, Harrison connected with other employees who might have witnessed Max's treatment. Has Max always been treated the way Nathan and Bradley treat him? He asked Jessica, a cashier who occasionally showed kindness to Max. It wasn't always this bad, she admitted quietly. The previous manager, Diane, was really good with him. Max worked register then. Customers loved him. What changed? When Bradley took over after the acquisition, everything changed. He and Nathan went to the same business school or something. They have this whole efficiency system they're always talking about. People who don't fit their model get pushed aside. Harrison captured Nathan mocking Max's speech pattern when he thought no one important was listening. He recorded Bradley dismissing Max's legitimate concerns about missing items from his locker. He's not the first, a stockroom employee named Tyler told Harrison. There was a girl with autism who worked here before, really good with numbers, handled inventory like a computer. They did the same thing to her, isolated her, messed with her system, changed her hours until she quit. The most damning evidence came when Harrison overheard Valerie and Nathan talking in the office, unaware of his presence. Bradley wants to cut Max's hours again next week, Valerie said. Why not just fire him? Nathan asked. Too risky, Valerie replied. Corporate has those diversity quotas. Plus, imagine the PR nightmare if we fire the guy with Down syndrome. So we just make him miserable until he quits, Nathan concluded. Same result, less hassle. Exactly, Valerie agreed. He's already on the edge. Did you see him today after the cleaning solution thing? One more push and he'll be gone. By morning, Harrison had made his decision. He arrived at the store in business casual attire rather than his uniform and went directly to Bradley's office requesting that Nathan and Valerie join them. While they waited, Max knocked on the door. You wanted to see me, Bradley? Harrison hadn't expected this but adapted quickly. Max, please join us. This concerns you, too. With everyone gathered, Bradley began reprimanding Harrison for overstepping boundaries. Harrison interrupted, reaching into his pocket. He withdrew his company ID badge and placed it on the desk. My name is Harrison Wright. I'm the CEO of Quality Essentials. The room went completely silent. Max's eyes widened. Nathan's face drained of color. Valerie gripped the edge of a filing cabinet. Bradley stared at the ID badge, then at Harrison's face, recognition finally dawning. For the past week, I've been working in this store, observing how it's run, and specifically how certain employees are treated. Harrison withdrew his phone. I've documented numerous instances of discrimination, harassment, and policy violations occurring in this store. He tapped the screen and Nathan's voice filled the room. We can't have him being the face of our store. Customers come for a professional experience, not a special ed class. What happens at Midtown doesn't align with our company values, Harrison continued. It violates our policies, our legal obligations, and basic human decency. He turned to Max. When I founded this company, it was with a very specific vision. My sister Sophie has Down syndrome. Growing up, I watched her struggle to find employers who would see her abilities rather than just her disability. Quality Essentials was built on the principle that everyone deserves dignity in the workplace. What's happened to you here is unacceptable, Harrison continued softly. And I'm deeply sorry that the systems I put in place failed to protect you. Harrison turned back to Bradley, Nathan, and Valerie, his expression hardening. Bradley and Nathan, Your employment with Quality Essentials is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you to collect your belongings. Valerie, your situation is different. You enabled this behavior, but several employees mentioned you showed occasional kindness to Max. You're on probation, contingent upon completion of comprehensive sensitivity training and a demonstrated change in behavior. After security had escorted Bradley and Nathan from the premises, Harrison gathered all employees in the break room. The space could barely contain everyone, with some staff standing in doorways and hallways, all eyes fixed on their CEO. For the past week, I've been working alongside you as Henry. What I saw troubled me deeply. This store has developed a culture that contradicts everything Quality Essentials stands for. He outlined immediate changes. Jessica, a supervisor from another location who had experience with inclusive management, would serve as interim store manager. Max would return to his previous customer-facing role at the registers, where feedback showed he had excelled. Additionally, I'm creating a new position, Customer Experience Specialist. This role will focus on improving how we serve diverse customers, including those with disabilities. Max, given your unique perspective and proven customer service skills, I'd like to offer you this opportunity with appropriate training and support. Max's expression transformed from uncertainty to genuine joy. Really? Yes, I'd like that very much. For everyone else, there will be mandatory training on disability awareness and inclusion, revised scheduling practices to ensure fairness, and a new anonymous reporting system that goes directly to corporate HR, bypassing store management entirely. Over the next few hours, Harrison worked with the team to implement immediate changes. As the day progressed, he noticed subtle shifts in the store's atmosphere. Employees who had previously avoided Max now engaged with him directly. Conversations felt more genuine, less guarded. In the afternoon, Harrison found a moment to speak privately with Max in the newly reorganized break room. "How are you holding up?" Harrison asked, genuinely concerned about the emotional impact of the day's events. Max considered the question thoughtfully. "It's a lot. Good, but a lot." Harrison nodded. "I understand. And I want you to know something important. What happened here wasn't your fault. You shouldn't have had to endure it. And I'm sorry our system failed you." Max looked up, meeting Harrison's eyes with newfound confidence. "I never wanted to quit, even when it was bad. I like helping people. I'm good at it." "Yes, you are," Harrison agreed. "That's exactly why you belong here." Max hesitated, then asked, "Your sister, is she really—" "Sophie?" Harrison smiled warmly. "Yes, she has Down syndrome. She's an incredible person, creative, determined, and fiercely independent. She runs her own online craft business now, but finding employers who would give her a fair chance was nearly impossible." As the day drew to a close, Harrison gathered the team once more. This is just the beginning. Quality Essentials will be the company it was always meant to be, one where every employee is valued, not despite their differences, but because of the unique perspectives those differences bring. Harrison Wright's experience going undercover at the Midtown store changed more than just one location. It transformed how Quality Essentials approached management accountability throughout the organization. For Max and employees like him, the change meant more than just improved working conditions. It represented a fundamental affirmation of their value and dignity. What about you? Have you ever witnessed workplace bullying or discrimination? How was it handled by management? Did someone speak up, or did everyone remain silent out of fear? What responsibility do companies have to ensure inclusive environments for all employees, regardless of disability or difference? And if you were in Harrison's position, would you have maintained your cover longer to gather more evidence, or would you have revealed yourself sooner to put an immediate stop to the mistreatment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more Undercover CEO stories. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. share with someone who believes in workplace dignity, and check out our other videos appearing on your screen right now. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time with another brand new video.